once upon a time, I watched this guy play football, and then I actually watched him play in person at the Super Bowl in Tampa, where his Cardinals were crushing it, and they went up on the Steelers. Unfortunately, didn't win it, but never in a million years did I think, A, I would get to know the guy, B, I'd get to know and love the guy, C, I'd get to know and love his family, I would work with the guy all the time and start collecting countries on the planet in which I'd be calling football games. So to add to Germany and the United Kingdom, we're about to add Brazil. My
What's
man,
up, buddy?
Kurt Warner.
How are you, man? Exciting. Good times, isn't it? What a way to kick off the season.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Here we are in Brazil getting ready for that game tomorrow night. My guys, they're back in Los Angeles.
What's up, fellas?
So they're back. Say hello to the guys in the studio.
What's going on, man? Let's go.
My guys in the studio, they're all there. Chris and TJ. And
It looked like it, man. It sounded like it. Bummer. Bummer. I may have to do something like the Wheel of Fortune here soon. They might have a celebrity edition, so I'm hoping I can pull something, TJ.
You've been on a game show, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done
Which
Wheel of
game?
Fortune.
Wheel?
I've done what else have I done?
Did you do Family
Jeopardy.
Feud?
We did Family.
Did you do Family Feud?
No, not
the
Jeopardy.
Warners?
Family Feud. Yeah,
The Warner
Feud.
family?
Yes, exactly. We did.
Okay.
Yeah, we pulled it out. We won.
Did you win big money? You
We
played
won big
fast money. You won fast
big money. Yeah, me and my daughter Jessie, we pulled it out. Yeah.
Okay.
So I fared all right in those games.
Who did fast money? You and your daughter?
Me and my daughter Jessie.
Was Brenda didn't want to do it? Or?
Well, no, Brenda's. Yeah, she's not much for games. We actually thought Cade was going to be. It was going to be me and Cade, but he flopped during the whole show, and so we're like, okay, we're going to push him out. And we're going to get Jessie in there, and we were able to pull it out. But it worked out well. There was a couple questions about being a mom and kids, and she nailed them, so it was perfect.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we played Celebrity Family Feud against Dan Patrick, and we did not make it to Fast Money.
Oh, you did not make it to Fast Money?
No, because we're blaming Del Tufo on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mike's taking it. Yeah.
What happened? Hey, the one thing I will say for everybody out there, though, it is a lot harder when you're in person and the camera's on you than when you sit at home and you're like, idiot, what are you saying that for? It's a lot harder when that pressure's on you. I will give you that. It's not the same deal.
I gotta say,
Yes, and you played in the Super Bowl.
Actually, it was easier. I got the number one answer. It was totally fine.
Oh,
wow. Well, I mean, it's probably just a gimme number one answer.
Guy.
8 choices. Come on.
This guy.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's not about the number one answer. Those are easy. It's when you end up being like fourth on the list and you're like, I don't got any other answers. Everybody took them all. Now you got to figure it out.
So we've got our game tomorrow night to kick off the ASC portion of the campaign. Tonight's the big one in Philadelphia, the Eagles in Dallas. I gave you the floor on breaking this one down. Kurt, what do you got for me? Preview it.
For tonight's game?
Yes, sir. Tonight's game.
Well, I mean, I think everybody goes into the season feeling like the Eagles are in a great position to repeat. They got all their main pieces back, youth on defense, the playmakers on offense. So I think you go into it. I'm excited just to see, are they coming off that Super Bowl? Are they going to look just as good as they did in the Super Bowl because they were so dominant? But I think they're going to be right in the mix again. And maybe more of the questions are on the other side is what exactly are we getting? What is this offense going to look like with their new coach? Can they run the football? Are they going to have to throw it all over the yard? No Micah Parsons. What are they on defense? I thought I read today Travion Diggs is on a pitch count. I mean, just a lot of things going on in Dallas that I'm not really sure what to expect from them this year. I don't look at them being a contender this year. Maybe they show me something different tonight, but I think the Eagles are going to be right there in the mix.
Well, you're the perfect person to ask this. I mean, Jalen Hurts, humble guy, and a guy who, had doubts all the time coming into the league. I'm describing a little bit of your journey as well. How did you enter the season after winning the Super Bowl and being the Super Bowl MVP and answering those questions in an emphatic way? And now he's got that. Yeah. Obviously, you didn't blow out the Titans, but you still won.
Yeah.
And so how did that work for you the following year that could be a somewhat informative as to what the Eagles are going to be experiencing?
I love when we were interviewing Patrick Mahomes, and we were just kind of asking
on
about
Monday. You're talking
about the situation in Kansas City, and he said, I don't really have to say a whole lot around our guys because what I've realized is if you want to be great, you want to be great. And we get guys that want to be great. And so when you talk about winning a Super Bowl, I think a lot of people have this perspective that, once you do that, you've accomplished everything and now you can rest on your laurels or you can, kick back. The great want to be great. And so you win a Super Bowl, and then it's about winning another one. If you win another one, then it's about winning the third one. It's about figuring out how to be great each and every year out there or each and every situation. And I think Jalen Hurts exemplifies that. Whether you talk about Alabama when he goes and wins a national championship, and then he gets benched, then he goes to Oklahoma and he's in the mix for the Heisman, and then he comes to the Eagles and he goes to a Super Bowl but they lose, and then he comes back and he dominates in a Super Bowl. Could have been a 2-time Super Bowl MVP with the way that this is a guy that wants to be great, and that's what he focuses on, not what they already accomplished or what they did last year, but just being great. And so I expect nothing more than him to continue to work to become better at his craft and try to lead this team in the Eagles to, a place that we've seen, last couple decades with the Chiefs or with the Patriots, is being dominant for a long time and being the ultimate winner. And he's shown that he can do that in a lot of ways.
Is it easier to do that because you've done it? Because you just did it? That whatever, I know we always talk pressure in our business, that it's removed. Obviously, the last time there was a banner raised in Philadelphia, it was asked of Nick Sirianni this week, you were being booed by halftime, and so things can change.
Yeah.
And his response, we're not going to be out there for either. Was there a banner raised? What banner raised?
Right, kind of crazy.
But
I get it. That's last year. That's not this year. We don't need to, we did our ring ceremony. We did our stuff. We got to put that in the past, and now it's something new.
But is it easier to be that leader at the quarterback position when you've answered questions and you do have a trophy in the case and an MVP trophy to boot?
I think, anytime you accomplish something like that, you always have that in your back pocket. But I don't think it makes it easier to do it again. I don't think it makes it easier for this team to be great just because they were great last year. I think the Chiefs, would be the first ones to tell you, we've been to a lot of Super Bowls, but we've also lost a couple Super Bowls. We also got blown out in a Super Bowl because we realized it's not as easy as sometimes it looks. And the Eagles, played really well, and then they dominate the Super Bowl, by halftime that thing's over. But that guarantees absolutely nothing for this year. And so I think you win one, you put pressure on yourself to win another one. You put pressure on your team to, we're going to come off the Super Bowl and we're going to go back and do it again. So I don't think it makes this season any easier. But I do believe you always have that in your back pocket. So if this season doesn't go well, it was like, I do have a Super Bowl ring. I'm a Super Bowl MVP. So that's always going to be there. But that doesn't make this year any easier and probably more difficult because you realize how much it takes to get there. And I would even say, when we won it in 99, I won't say it was easy. It's never easy to win a Super Bowl. But with that magical season, it just kind of came together. And from a football standpoint, you could say, man, it seemed kind of easy. And then you realize when you come back the next year, that's not how it normally is. It's really hard to get there and win. And so you appreciate those moments, but you don't carry anything really from that season and think that it's going to carry over into the next.
Kurt Warner, Super Bowl MVP, my compadre on NFL Game Day Morning, and my booth mate for YouTube's first ever global stream of a football game, and it's a doozy.
Yeah.
Chiefs and Chargers right here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, on the Rich Eisen Show. First ever multi-hemisphere edition of this show in our history.
All right.
So the team that presents the biggest challenge in the NFC to the Eagles is which?
Biggest challenge, I actually really like the Rams, and we talked a little bit about it on our kickoff show.
Yep.
I've got the questions about Matthew Stafford's back. Age, given an issue, didn't practice a whole lot, but I think that's a really talented team. We saw what they did to the Eagles when they went in there in the playoffs and gave them everything they could handle.
Yes.
And a chance to win it. So I really like the Rams. I'm intrigued by the Packers now. Lot of talent across the board. This was a top 10 offense and defense last year. You add a difference maker like Micah Parsons. I'm really intrigued. They're a young team, so I want to see them play a little bit. But I'm really intrigued by them as well. And I would, look at those two teams as kind of the two teams that are out there that.
Why not the Lions?
I mean,
is it because of the coordinators?
And there's nothing about the Lions. Like if the Lions went and won 15 games again, I would not be surprised because I do believe they have that kind of talent.
Right.
Hutch is back, but there's just unknown. It sounds easy again when he's like, oh, we've got all the players back. Yes, new coordinators, but not really that big a deal, because we've got the same players back. I think it can be a huge deal. I think great coordinators, and I can really only speak for the offensive side with my perspective, but great coordinators are different in how they piece things together, how they set up each playmaker in positions to do what they do best. And I thought that's what Ben Johnson did as well as anybody in the league with all those playmakers, is he found a way to put them in positions where they were always doing what they did well. I thought that's what Mike Martz did so well with us is, okay, Marshall had a unique skill set. Ricky Prohl had a unique skill set. Azakim had a unique skill set. And how he would piece those guys together and put them in the spots that played to their strengths. I remember thinking the same thing about Kyle Shanahan when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl. Different kinds of playmakers, including, Julio, but we're going to put them in the best positions to succeed. Ben Johnson does that as well as anybody. Do they have that moving forward?
And obviously, everyone saw what Goff did with Ben Johnson. We're assuming that remove that, and Johnny Morton can't or won't be the same. It's going to be different. I don't know. I have an issue with that, but the Rams did give the Eagles all they could handle last year. Jared Verse could be a defensive player of the year, and that's just a part of a young stud, aligned defense.
Right.
It really is all on maybe we were joking the other day, not so much a joke maybe to the Rams, that Matthew Stafford's chiropractor should be an honorary captain. Week one.
Going to be important. And I actually think they would be a fine team with Jimmy, but we all know difference makers are that position, that special guys. So even if he had to play some, if Matthew Stafford was healthy down the stretch, I believe this is a difficult team to beat.
How do you see tomorrow night's game playing out? What's the key to the Friday night Chiefs-Chargers game?
I'm really excited about this one. Obviously, a great way to start the season. The Chiefs, I think my big storyline with them is we always hear about Super Bowl hangovers. And, getting blown out the way they did in the Super Bowl, kind of went into this thing going, okay, are they going to take a step back? Everybody's asking, is the dynasty over? All of that sort of stuff. What I really enjoyed when we did the interviews is to a man, Coach Reed, to Patrick, to Travis. When you asked them about the Super Bowl, the first thing they said was, I didn't play well enough. And they took responsibility and accountability for what they didn't do well enough. They didn't make excuses. They didn't point. Hey, I have to be better. And it really felt like they were motivated. And they went back in the offseason, and Travis is in great shape, and Patrick's in great shape, and Coach Reed is, trying to uncover the new things that they need to do or figure out the problems that they had last year. And they seem like a really, really motivated team to come back out and say, hey, this thing's not over. We got to live with the results of the Super Bowl, but we are ready to compete once again. So I want to see how they come out. I think they're going to come out flying. I think they're going to be aggressive. And I'm excited to see this version of the Chiefs. And then on the other side with the Chargers, the theme that I pulled from a lot of our interviews was, we've done a nice job the last couple years, and we've been in the playoffs. But what we haven't done is we beat the teams we're supposed to beat. We haven't beat teams like the Chiefs. We haven't beat the playoff teams consistently. And that's the next step for this football team, is beating those kinds of teams. And so here we are, perfect opportunity in Brazil, the whole world watching against, the best team that we've seen in the last decade. Here's your chance. Show us that you are ready to compete, not just in the division, but with all the teams in the AFC, and show us that you can win on the big stage.
Let's take it one team at a time now, and following up with you, Kurt, because when you said that they all took responsibility for not winning that Super Bowl and getting blown out in that game, the one who got the most specific about a responsibility that they take on, I don't know if you caught this from Andy Reid, when he was talking about Xavier Worthy in year two. He said that there's, he's going to be involved in the game plan with some plays that he said, I I should have put in for the Super Bowl more. Like,
I should have got him more involved in the Super Bowl.
Did you catch that reference?
Yeah, I did.
I took a note on that one.
Because Xavier, during the playoffs, it took a huge uptick for them in terms of the yak and using him in the screen game and getting him touches with that explosiveness. And so when he said that, he's like, I should have done more of that in the Super Bowl. And then he came right back and said, but he's got a healthy dose of plays for this game. I just think they've got to find those explosive plays. That, to me, is the difference. Is they are so good, and Patrick's so good at managing and getting first downs and the long drives. Nobody was better last year.
Yeah, most 10-plus drive, 10-plus play drives in the league last year. So you do think they are going to, in the same way last year where they were locked in on matriculating, that the old school WASP cut the top of the defense off. Let's go vertical. Hollywood Brown is healthy. Xavier Worthy's speedy. That's coming back.
That was the other theme that I heard, being aggressive. And you talked about different nuggets that you pick up. Andy Reid even mentioned that. He said, I've got to call and design more of those plays, and we've got to make sure they're there. Patrick talked about, I got to throw more of those. And this year he's comfortable with those receivers, even if it's Hollywood Brown and Tyquan Thornton, guys that didn't play a lot last year, but they've been in the building, and he talked about the trust that he has with those guys. And so he wants to go back and really stick to his progressions and give those guys opportunities to win down the field. So, yes, I believe if there was one theme from a scheme standpoint that came out in all my interviews, with the coaches and the players, it was that one, is that they're going to try to get more big plays and push the ball down the field more than they have the last couple years, because they understand how hard it is to win in this business, even with the best quarterback on the planet, when you have to make 10-play drives all the time to score points. You've got to be able to flip field position. You got to be able to win quickly. That's what they did when their offenses were the best. That's what they want to get back to.
And then when we talked to Herbert, he's approached. It seems very locked in, right? And then with him, I was stunned as I'm researching for this, because I'm a professional, to see that he's got the most passing yards of anybody in the history of the league through 5 seasons, but he hasn't thrown for 4,000 in the last 2. Of his first 62 games of his career, 58 featured a game in which he attempted to throw it 30 times or more. Only 10 of 17 last year. Do you think he likes playing like this, Kurt? He didn't give any sense of it. I mean, we were hunting and pecking during the interview, but
very interesting. I talked to Greg Roman, who's the offensive coordinator, with the Chargers, and I asked him, okay, what kind of adjustment, and what was that like in the first year in terms of calling plays and knowing you've got this guy that can chuck it all over the yard and is so talented, and then Jim Harbaugh comes in, and we know how he wants to play is control the line of scrimmage. And he said what we had to preach to Justin was, we are calling plays to win. We're not calling plays for yards. We're calling plays to win. And it took Justin some time to understand what exactly that means. What does that mean for me? Because the first few years of my career, I'm chucking it all over and I'm setting records. And so what do you mean winning? Because all of us think winning means let me put the ball in my hands.
4,000-yard seasons and one 5,000-yard
to
season.
win, and all quarterbacks think that. But it was starting to understand the theory behind what they're doing and the purpose of every single throw. And so, we did talk to Jim Harbaugh, and I asked him, are you tempted to want to spread it out and throw it because you've got, this guy at quarterback? And he said, I am tempted, and I'm not opposed to that, even though we know that's not how he wants to play. So there's such high regard for Justin Herbert that he can wing it all over if they need to. But their formula is good defense, run the football, and then make your big plays off of that. And I do believe that's how they're going to try to play this game and try to play this season, knowing that they've got that ace in their back pocket. If they have to spread it around and throw it, they've got a guy that can do that.
Yeah, and, don't turn it over. Just 3 interceptions for Herbert, and the lowest in number of turnovers in the AFC last year for the Chargers. And then to give you an idea of they're going to spread out and wing it, their first-round choice was Omarion Hampton, who they're going to roll downhill, man. And then
Exactly.
and then one of the big moves they made in free agency was let's get Najee Harris. So it gives you an idea of we're still going to play the same way.
They want to play that way.
You know, and if Herbert throws for 4,000 yards on top of it, then so be it. Bringing back Keenan Allen as well. So it'll be interesting to see Keenan Allen back with his lightning bolts tomorrow night. So Kurt Warner is here. That'll wrap up hour number 2 right here on ESPN Radio. When we come back on our simulcast, this man will still be here, and we'll go around the rest of the league, and then your phone calls in hour 3 from Brazil. Still here on Disney Plus here for a few more minutes. And so, you know, defensively, Derwin James, he was lit. He was lit like a firecracker. He was happy. You could tell he loves playing in the Jesse Minter defense.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome tomorrow night because this is a huge football game. Obviously, tonight's as well in the NFC East, but this is big.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, in the division, you know, first game of the year, so you don't really know everything about the other team that you're playing. Obviously, come playoff time, you know, what happens early, you know, can come back to haunt you or be a blessing at that point. So, I mean, there is so much riding on this game. I can't state it enough. Could we get a better game, a bigger game to start the season, to be here in Brazil, to do this for YouTube than we're getting? I don't think we can.
I'm with you. And, you know, let's just say the Chargers win. That's a massive tone setter to start the season. Chiefs go home. Their home openers against the Eagles. Super Bowl rematch right away.
Right.
So that's huge. And if the Chiefs win, they can go into that game with a nice head of steam.
Right.
Chargers don't go home. There's a Chris Brown concert in SoFi. So the league sent them, knowing that they didn't have the stadium available for them. They sent them to the closest in proximity spot for them to go, which is Vegas. And they gave them an extra day to make it a Monday nighter. But that's not easy either, Pete.
No. Pete
bringing the Raiders into Vegas for the first time. And so, I mean, I don't want to say week one's a must win, but you're staring down an 0-2 situation if you lose this game Friday
And just as a
night.
player, winning week one is so huge. You know, just to have that positive, on your record after week one. It doesn't matter where you fit and how good you are and who you lose to. 0-1, there's pressure week 2. Like, we cannot go 0-2. Like, that can't be a thing. And so it is so important to play well and win in week 1.
I'm doing this game with you, Kurt. Doing this show today and tomorrow, and then we do game day morning together Sunday.
Yep.
Okay. And then I will just go home and just sit on the couch and just veg.
Okay.
You've got
Good for you.
You've got to still call Monday night on Westwood
Chicago.
One.
Yes, I will be. Yes. It always seems that way for the first week of the season, because I'm usually calling the opener on radio with Kevin, but obviously not doing that because we're doing
Kevin
the game
Harlan.
tomorrow. So it's always a busy first week, but it's the energy. You just get off a plane and you're coming to do your show, but the energy of week number 1, the games that we have, and the excitement for the season, it carries you through for week 1 until you get a chance to take a nap.
Well, let's hit on that game here because Caleb had quite the year 1. His best game was the one we called in London.
It was.
He had 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
And that was the Bears were 4-2. That was the zenith of the Eberflus era because they went on a bye. Then the Hail Mary happened the next week, and then yada, yada, yada. He's now the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys tonight. And so the idea is that Ben Johnson's going to get Caleb, on a better path. And then there's J.J. McCarthy. Let's take it one at a time.
Okay.
Because you showed some film on the game day preview on Tuesday night that Caleb still is a little slow processing pass receiver 1 in a progression.
Right.
Is that just something that takes time, or you're still wondering if this is still in there for him?
Well, I think both. I think you have both questions. Is that, it's not overnight when you haven't been taught to play this way and you haven't played this way. I don't think he played this way in college. I talk about it all the time, that the pure progression type plays where it's look at your receiver. If he's open, throw it, then move to the next guy, as opposed to reading defenders where it's like, I'm going to read Rich, and if you go this way, I'm throwing it to that guy. If you go the other way. And so it speeds up the process. And so that to me is kind of where he's at. Last year, you saw him holding the football a lot. They were running a lot of pure progressions, and it was tough for him to get beyond number one, figure out when one wasn't open and get to 2 and to 3. What we've seen early with Ben Johnson is he sped up that process in terms of recognizing what you want to see, and if you see it and like it, rip it. We saw that in preseason. That was part of the tape that I showed, especially against Buffalo. He was getting back, hitting that back foot, getting the ball out when he knew where he wanted to go. He was very decisive. But I also showed when he had to get beyond number one. And, that guy wasn't open to be able to process and work through things from there. He still has some work to do. And so that's what I'm looking for this year. I think it's going to be better. I think Ben Johnson does some great things offensively, going to dial some things up to, utilize that talent, get number one open more. But inevitably, there's going to be a lot of times where he's got to get beyond that, and teams take that away. How quickly can he do it? How consistent and effective can he be when he's going beyond his initial read?
Now, you've spoken to J.J. McCarthy, right?
Yes.
Give me an indication of how ready you think he is and whether this is going to be another Kevin O'Connell masterpiece with a kid that knows how to win, obviously, from other levels.
Yeah, Kurt. I think he's ready. He's been in a lot of big moments, so I don't look at it being too big for him. I think the questions that I had coming out of college is that he wasn't a guy that had to carry the team throwing the football. Minnesota has been a team that likes to throw first. And so I want to see, okay, if that's the case, if we're going to throw it 35 times, can JJ carry the load that way? Can he make those kinds of throws? Consistency. You watched him a lot at Michigan. I thought when he came out of the combine, he kind of had one speed in which he could throw the football. Like everything was a driven throw. And when you drive the ball, you either hit or you miss. There's not a lot of margin for error. I know he's been working a lot on what we call layering the football, putting touch on the football and allowing his receivers to help him on that end. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. We just haven't seen a lot of him play at this level. The one preseason game last year, a little bit in preseason this year. So I have questions, but my questions aren't, can he handle it mentally? Is he ready for that part of it? The questions are more the physical aspect of playing the game, seeing what he needs to see, and I can't wait to see that on Monday night.
So let's remove JJ from the equation for this sports talk radio question. Maybe Penix is part of this question. I'll leave it up to you.
Okay.
The rookie from last year that's going to have the biggest leap this year. And I know Jaden Daniels has last year to count against him because how much more of a leap from that can you take? But which is it? Drake May?
Really
We're going to throw Nix in this equation. Caleb, Jaden Daniels. If you want to throw Penix in there as well, the biggest leap from year one to year two is which quarterback? Kurt.
I've heard a lot of great things about Bo Nix and how excited they are for his second year. I also thought he played really well last year. I'm going to actually go with Drake May.
Okay.
And again, I thought he played really well last year. I just don't think he had the pieces in the system set up to allow him to have as much success or to connect the success to how well he played. And so I believe there is going to be an uptick there just in how it looks and his consistency and effectiveness, because I believe Mike Vrabel is going to come in and build a team and has built a team around him. I don't know if he'll throw it as much as he did last year, but I think that team takes a jump. I think he's going to look really, really good this year in that system. And so I'm going to say him, even though I do believe Bo's going to be better. I do believe Caleb is going to be better. I'm excited about Michael Penix. I was a huge fan coming out. I think he's going to be good as well. But I'm going to look at Drake May.
Surprised that Penix didn't play in the preseason?
I'm always surprised.
Did you play in the preseason?
I always played in the preseason. And I was a guy that wanted to. And I didn't need to play a lot, but I wanted to feel like when I went into week one, I was ready. And when you play football, you can go in for a quarter and you go, oh, speed's good. I'm seeing it. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm confident going into the season. And so I'm always surprised when young guys that haven't played a lot don't play at least a little bit. I mean, especially when you see guys like Mahomes and Herbert, guys we're watching, both played in preseason. To a degree, I like that aspect of things. So you know what you're getting, and you're ready to go week one.
Can you believe Aaron Rodgers is the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback right now? I mean,
crazy.
I know we're used to saying it,
Yeah.
but we're about to see it.
I know.
And it's pretty big for the Steelers. It's a pretty big season for them in many different ways.
Yeah.
They just paid Watt. I mean, Cam Hayward is not getting any younger. DK Metcalf, we're talking about un-Steeler-like moves. Let's acquire a receiver who's never played for us and make him the best paid player we've ever had on offense outside of a quarterback. And let's bring Rodgers in.
Yeah.
What's your level of expectation there at the end of the day?
I'm excited about the football. I think they're going to be a better football team than they were a year ago. They were a playoff team a year ago, but I think Aaron Rodgers offensively, with what he brings and what they want to do in that system, I think he's going to be really good for them. And we know that their defense is going to be good. And so I think they're going to win a lot of games. But I don't know if they've made the moves or if Aaron is at the point where he can push them over the top. On our preview show, the Steelers were the team that I kicked out of the playoffs.
Yes.
Even though I believe they're going to be a better team than they were last year, I kicked them out of the playoffs just because of when I look at the AFC and I look at the talent there and I look at their division, they're going to be a good, solid football team, but I don't think they're going to be a great football team. And although Aaron makes them better, I don't know if he makes them that much better that they can compete with the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bills. I even think the Bengals are going to be in the mix this year because of what they can do offensively. So I just don't know if they can compete with those guys.
Because you did put the Bengals in, right?
I put the Bengals
the Steelers
in.
out.
Yes.
With Steelers out, Bengals in that segment that we did on the game day kickoff. And on that show, we finished up with our Super Bowl predictions. Yours was?
I actually just went with the same two teams. You know how I am, Rich. I want to see these teams play. So I think the Chiefs are motivated. So I said the Chiefs were going to beat the Eagles this time around. I already told you the Rams. I like the Rams. I like the Packers. I want to see what they do.
I mean, we could be wrong. You could be wrong.
Well,
but
and the more I was thinking about it, even after we did it, the other day, is there's something about the Ravens that I wonder if it's their time. I think they're as talented as anybody. And, is it the time for them to get over the hump and Lamar to get over the hump in the AFC? So, I'm wallowing back and forth because I haven't seen anybody play yet. But, I picked those two teams because I think they're two really good teams. But there's some other ones out there that I'm interested in.
I mean, you could make the case Chiefs are better. You could
I
truly
agree.
make the case
I think they're
that
going
the
to be
Chiefs are better. They love Josh Simmons, the left tackle, who's the 11th difference starting left tackle in Mahomes' career.
Yep. Matt Nagy told me that 1 to 6 wide receivers that they've got there, including Rashee Rice, is the best 6 he's ever been around in the NFL. So he's excited about that. Maybe the most interesting stat that I found when I was doing my research for the game was that, that the Chiefs defense only have 4 guys that haven't played,
that played for other teams.
Another team besides the Chiefs.
They're all their own. Everyone else is homegrown on the defense.
I couldn't believe that when I read it. And so
tied with the Bucks, by the way. Tied with the Bucks for drafting and keeping and winning.
And so they've got so many guys that know and understand and are part of the culture on both sides of the ball that I'm with you. I think they're going to be a better football team this year than the 15-win team that they were last year.
And then just to finish up with the Ravens, because at the beginning of the show, I gave this whole season preview based on narratives and conversations, not all 22 or anything like that. And the way I set up the Ravens season, it's January. It's not like they're not going to make January.
Right.
Okay, like barring something wild and completely
and
unfortunate and unforeseen. They're that talented. They're going to make January. It just seems that something always happens in January. Zay Flowers gets hurt, or Zay Flowers had a great play, in the making, and then boop, ball comes loose. Just to name one guy in 2 different postseasons. Last year, Mark Andrews, man, of all people, what a nice dude, man. What a good soul that doesn't deserve to have that sort of thing happen to him. It's just something in it. Can they avoid it? Which you can't do an X's and O's breakdown or something like that.
But I don't know if it's avoiding or just stepping up and making those plays in the moment. That is the difference. I mean, if you look at any one thing about the Chiefs that makes them different, they always make that play. When they need the play to be made, they always make it. Whatever it is, block field goal, AFC Championship game, stop on fourth down with a little bit of a tush push or a quarterback sneak. Patrick finding a way to make a run or make a play on fourth down in a super, like they always make the play. And so I think one side is always, well, if they can avoid those mistakes, or do those guys just have to step up and make every play that's available to them to win, and especially in the AFC, because you've got a team in the Chiefs that always seems to do it.
Right, and the Bills in the postseason have had that issue with the Chiefs, and I guess the way to beat the Chiefs, the Bucs showed it and the Eagles showed it too, is just make Mahomes' life miserable.
Right. Easier said than done,
then
but yes.
Get so far out in front that the Chiefs aren't in the position to make that one play to beat you, and you're in that position to not make that one play and have it cost you.
In an area where, again, talking to the coaches, they believe their offensive line is as good this year, even with a rookie starting at left tackle, as it's been since they've been there, since Patrick's been there. And so, man, if that plays out too, and the wide receiver room is better, and I mean, it's going to be fun.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
going to be fun.
Reed talked up Josh Simmons. That was that time in the pre-broadcast meeting. He was busting my stones for not looking at the camera because he thought I was just doing something with my phone. I was taking notes to my right. And he goes, Josh Simmons, who played for that school,
he's like
Ohio
texting
State.
you, hey, Rich, do you know you're on TV? Do you know you're on Zoom?
Are you eating? Well, by the way, Reed would not turn down these this Brazilian confection right here.
Put a
It's
burger
amazing.
right in between it.
Before I let you go on with the rest of your day, I'll ask you this, even though you weren't expecting it, and I should ask you this off the air, but I'll ask it on the air anyway. Because you're tough watching film, man. I've been around you for a while.
Yeah.
You're tough watching film. What is it like watching film of E.J. Warner, the starting quarterback of Fresno State, your son, who's made so much of himself and his opportunity with all these schools and playing for Fresno State? What is that like for you, Kurt, to see
it's
this?
twofold. That there's the one side of it that I'm just in awe of how good he is at this age, and I watch all the film on Sundays of these guys playing on Sundays, and he processes information and gets the ball out of his hands as fast as most of the guys on Sunday.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, and better than a lot of them actually. And so I'm just in awe of that part of it. But I'm also an analyst. I'm also a dad. I also love the game. And so I'm also try to push him and be, I don't want to say ultra critical, but critique him as tough as I can, because I want to push him to see how good he can be. And so we have fun film sessions where there's times I'm just lifting him up and telling him how great he is. And then there's other times where it's like, okay, can't do that. What were you thinking?
Right.
Check this out and think about this. So we have fun. We're on the phone almost every day, talking about their offense and watching film and going through little nuances. And it's fun to hear how he thinks about the game, and then to be able to throw nuggets at him like, hey, you thought about this, or this is what, I would think about in this particular situation. And, it's just valuable time. It's fun. It's fun to, when your kids love what you love, it is so great to, to be able to be a part of that. But there is nothing better, even though I'm as nervous as I've ever been when I watch him play, knowing that every throw, every time he drops back, it's all on him. So I'm nervous, but I enjoy the heck out of it, and I'm so proud of him.
I'm so happy for you and your fam, because it's geographically sound to where you live and where you got to go to work the next day in Los Angeles. And I was watching the game, Fresno State against Kansas. I know the final score wasn't what you wanted or him. But just before I was walking out the door with Coop, my youngest, and it was a third down. He stood in the pocket. He converted over the middle, and he took one right in the chops. And I turned to Coop. I said, just like his dad.
No,
stayed in the pocket, knew the hit was coming, delivered the football.
That is something he can do. Something he can do. Yes.
It's awesome.
But
I'm so happy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I couldn't be happier, obviously, that we're working together here in Brazil. And thank you for the time today,
oh
man.
My gosh, my pleasure.
You could have been sitting in that hotel room looking at film.
But I would have just been thinking about all this stuff anyway.
And
take
one for the road.
Yeah,
take one for the road. Take one for the road. Okay, there you go. By the way, there's more other good stuff over there. There's chocolate stuff. There's some chicken and cheese. Oh, God, it's
You know how the season is when you're traveling. It's all this stuff.
I know.
You
I know.
gain 20 pounds.
I know.
And you're trying to do it to me right off the bat.
It's the same thing every year when we start with game day morning. Mooch looks thin as a rail because he's around Gail. He can't sneak eat. Now it's on. Now it's on.
Sneak eat. All right.
Now it's on. Kurt Warner right here. Check us out on Friday night for Chiefs and Chargers on YouTube around the globe.
Go.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.